We last see Max Mayfield in a hospital bed, broken, lifeless, and trapped in a coma. Elle can't find her, and there's no sign of Max in her mind anywhere. Meanwhile, Lucas loyally stays by her side, never giving up hope that she will wake up. And are we really expected to believe that the Stranger Things writers have been so cruel to leave us hanging on all this time just to kill her in season 5? Or is there still a way for Max to come back despite all the odds? And if so, how? I've noticed that there are a number of theories circling that Lucas will sacrifice himself to save her. But to me, that theory just doesn't add up. That would destroy Max, it wouldn't save her. I mean, we all remember Billy, right? So how can Max be saved when Elle can't even reach her? Well, get comfy, because we've got a lot to unpack today. How Max can be saved, why Lucas is the key, and what it all means for Stranger Things Season 5. Let's dive in, starting with how it has to be Lucas to save her. Lucas is a seriously underrated character. His growth throughout the series has been both relatable and hilarious.
What did you find under your bed? Nothing. Is it gross?
But he is also seriously underestimated, and I think he will end up being one of the key players in Season 5. Not just in saving Max, but in turn taking down Vecna. Now, I could sit here and say it's all because puberty was kinder to Lucas than it was to his friends.
Oh my god. You're helpless.
He shut up and became athletic, which would give him a physical advantage. Or I could say it's all to do with his ability to keep his cool under pressure. Or maybe even how he can be resourceful in situations where he doesn't have the physical advantage.
There's a reason this warning label says 18 or older.
But I'm not going to. Instead, I'm going to say it's more about how he owns his mistakes, how he learns from them, has this deep emotional maturity, and shows dedications to his friends time and time again.
And I'm sorry. I wasn't there.
It's not your fault.
No.
Let me explain. Vecna is the symbolic embodiment of trauma, shame, depression, mental health, and therefore it's not just going to be a physical force that's his downfall. But don't worry, I'm not going completely off track. This video isn't going to be about how Vecna is defeated. It's more about how his latest victim and how Lucas will be key in saving her. I think one of the reasons that it has to be Lucas to save her is due to the connection that they share. So let's look at this relationship. Max turned Lucas's world upside down when she entered the scene. He was besotted, especially when he realised that she was Mad Max. Where Mike's early relationship with Elle was all about saving her and protecting her, Lucas was more pure. He just wanted to hang out with her and have fun. I mean, it did have bumps in the beginning, like when Dustin first asked her to hang out with him, and all Lucas could do was just look on in horror.
We figured you'd want in.
That's presumptuous of you.
Max does get a bit sick online for how she handled this interaction. I get it. No one wants to be blunt to Dustin when he's just trying so hard. But it was perfect. Dustin had spent so long with this script of asking her how to join them. He hadn't actually considered her feelings in the situation. So yeah, she was right. He was being presumptuous. But I think this fire that we've seen in Max was one of the reasons that she was so appealing to Lucas. Because Lucas is surrounded by strong women. Lucas does get stick for not trusting Elle early on. But to be fair, I think the guy had his reasons, yet he apologised and moved on. Now him and Elle are good friends. But Lucas learned from this, and when he starts to see Max, he realises that it's okay to start opening up to her. He trusts his instincts and he tells Max everything, which worked as Max valued his honesty. And don't get me wrong, he made some mistakes along the way. I am really concerned about this arcade scene. Why do they think it was okay to trick a girl into the storeroom with a boy and then just shut the door and leave him to it? Was it this type of model employment status that got him the job in the video store? Never mind. Anyway, Max can see past this. She affectionately nicknames him Stalker after that. Young love. They continued building that connection despite Billy's failed efforts to keep them apart. But when Billy realises he's failed to keep Max away from Lucas, he turns up at the house and starts brutally attacking Lucas, despite him being half his size. Now, I do understand that there was meant to be a scene with Max and Billy in the car where Billy was meant to use a racial slur to describe Lucas, but the actor asked for it to be removed. And I actually think doing so was the right move because there was something more sinister, more thought-provoking about Lucas being subject to a racial attack without anyone calling it what it is. As the audience, it was clear what was behind that attack. It didn't need that extra layer. Yet despite all of this, when Max is grieving Billy, Lucas never holds it against her, never says, yeah, but, Billy was a bit of an asshole. He just gets that she has complicated feelings and supports her through it. Pretty impressive for a teenager. But that is Lucas and Max. They open up to each other, they tell each other uncomfortable truths about themselves. And even though Will sometimes still gets a little bit left out, they still hang out with their friends. It's not like Mike and Elle who just run off every chance that they get. They both become entwined and key members of the group. I mean, look at this moment where they're singing Neverending Story to Dustin. That scene will forever live rent-free in my mind. And at this point, I do actually think Lucas and Max are probably the most healthy relationship on the show. Do you agree, disagree? Let me know below. But we know that this happy ending doesn't last long, and Max becomes Vecna's target. And this bit is key, because to be able to understand how she is saved, we need to look at how she survived Vecna the first time, and why she was chosen by him in the first place. And as Lucas quite rightly pointed out, the reason Vecna picked Chrissy and Fred and Patrick was because they all had something. But as I mentioned, I believe Vecna is a symbolic embodiment of trauma. It's how he targets people. It's how he hunts. He couldn't just kill them. He needed the ritual to open the gates. He needed to take his time to build that psychic connection. The death on its own was not enough. And this psychic connection will be key in how we can bring her back. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's look at the start of season 4 when Max becomes the target. Because I promise you that there are some key bits here that I think have been easily overlooked in the past. At the start of season 4, Max was not in a good way. Billy's sacrifice split her world in two. She was consumed with grief, guilt, and lack of closure, wondering if they could ever have put their past behind them and become close. Elle is not around, she's broken up with Lucas, and she's living in the trailer park with a mum who's developed a drinking problem. It doesn't really seem like she's close with her family, and I think this is probably part of the reason why she doesn't always know how to reach out to people. She's gone from being at the happiest point of her life to at her lowest, and she's doing it completely alone, and that is exactly what Vecna wants. Despite this, Lucas kept reaching out to her, reminding her that he was still there. He invited her to a basketball game, and I'm not gonna lie, was anyone else just super gutted for him when he finished the game and there was no one there from his circle cheering him on. But not only that, it then also broke my heart when we seen that Max was listening to his game on the radio. She didn't show up, she didn't know how, but it just showed how much she still cared about him. Their separation wasn't about anger, it was about grief. Both of them were trying to survive in their own way, but it didn't take long for them to start coming back together, because crucially for Max, it was her witnessing that someone else needed help that caused her to go to Dustin. And this is key, because if she hadn't done this, she most likely would have been killed by Vecna much earlier. Her reaching out back to her friendship group was her lifeline. Now I get it, the question is, why didn't she go straight to Lucas? And I think she just wasn't quite ready to go to him yet, so she went straight to Dustin. She knew he would listen, no questions asked. And despite this, Lucas never held that against her. He just got it. I mean, it probably was trumped by the fact that not long after he quickly realised that Max was in danger, and there was no hesitation, no anger, no resentment. He just reached out, and she lets him in. And this is what I mean. In Stranger Things, we don't really see many of the other couples, young or old, have this pure moment of vulnerability, accountability, and honesty. It actually makes their relationship seem one of the most functional on the show. Yeah, I said it again. I'm gonna die on this hill. They actually become stronger for their breakup, because when everything falls apart, they still find their way back to each other. But it still isn't quite a happy ending, because Max still thinks she only has 24 hours left to live. So she writes everyone letters just in case, which initially infuriates Lucas. He wants her to talk to him, not write to him. But also to him, it's her giving up, accepting her fate. He doesn't want a letter just in case he has to open it. He just wants her to be okay. But Max does struggle with the words at times, and write it down actually helps. This is a common tool in therapy, as it can be easier to articulate how you're feeling. It's not actually dissimilar to Will using his paintings as a tool for communication, for saying unspoken messages. But this letter is also how she tells Billy how she really feels, albeit it's next to his headstone. But I do think it's part of her getting some closure and starting to move towards healing. So bear with me. I think her reaching out to her friends and her reading that letter to Billy is part of the reason why she was able to survive Vecna in the next scene. So let's break down that scene, which is arguably the best scene in the entire show, which is when Max first escapes Vecna. Because I think it gives us some significant clues on how she'll do it next time. So we're back at the graveyard, Max has finished Billy's letter, and she has her friends close by, making her stronger even though she doesn't realise it yet. As expected, Vecna strikes, but she knows his game by now. She knows he's pretending to be Billy. She doesn't play his game, and instead she follows the Scarlet Haze and enters Vecna's mindscape, which he doesn't seem to be expecting. Regardless, Vecna still takes the opportunity and strikes. Meanwhile, Lucas, Dustin and Steve know it's time to put the headphones on. Now, Kate Bush is pretty awesome and this is quite a tune, but I don't think that's what saves her. It just creates that bridge. Kate Bush was just not enough. She still needed to fight like hell to get out of that mindscape and run up that hill. Because let's be honest, it wasn't just Kate Bush she heard. It was her friends calling out for her. And on the outside, Dustin, Steve and Lucas are watching on, seeing her suspended in the air, about to be hurt, but they can't reach her. All they can do is call out to her. It's such a powerful scene as it's so symbolic for people witnessing someone experiencing trauma or addiction or in states of depression and feel powerless watching them, not knowing how to help. Flick back to Max and we can see the literal light at the end of the Scarlet Haze, creating a window to her life, her friends, the song plays, and the happy memories of the people that care for her come flooding in, and she runs like hell, dodging all the obstacles. Her friends are bringing her back from the darkness. She has a reason to fight and get back to them. She does it and collapses in Lucas's arms, and it gets me every time.
I thought we lost you. I'm still here. I'm still here.
She's telling him, but she's also telling herself. Unsurprisingly, Lucas becomes a Kate Bush fan after this incident.
Really?
Yeah, mega fan. She saved your life.
But when he says this, Max just looks at him, because she knows it wasn't Kate Bush. They have this moment of reconnection and mess around when she laughs, and he says how much he's missed that. Because with Lucas, he didn't need Max to be with him. He just needed her to be happy. It wasn't about how she made him feel. What mattered more to him was how she was feeling. It's not the toxic tropes that we often see in these type of shows. It's healthy and it's beautiful. But before long, they are united again in the fight to bring down Vecna. And I get it. I also did worry about Lucas when he was working with Jason and his cronies to find Eddie. But I do think at this point he was just buying time, and when when he realised his friends were in actual danger, he acted, and he tricked Jason and co to go into the wrong place. He knew they wouldn't forgive him, but he did this anyway. When they form their plan to kill Vecna, Max quickly offers herself up as bait. And again, for her, I don't think this is just about stopping him. She needs him out of her head. Going back to the link of Vecna representing trauma, you can fight it, you can have your good days, but it's still with you, it's still lingering. Max ran up that hill, she chose a friend, she chose to fight, but healing from trauma isn't that straightforward. It's a constant battle. And like past trauma, she still feels Vecna everywhere she goes. But this time, she has an advantage. She knows how he works. He uses people's worst memories against them, the things that haunt them. She knows to run in the opposite direction, to run to the light. She won't let Lucas use another stranger instead of her, because more people dying in her place will just break her. She says she has a memory to hide in, and this was at her happiest.
Was I there?
It's presumptuous of you.
Which is a callback to that earlier scene. But here we just need to emphasise the power of memories. Because again, I think that'll be key in saving Max and taking down Vecna. Because as we've already established, Vecna creates the psychic connection by haunting people with their worst memories. This also fits with how we trained Elle to use memories that made us sad or angry to fight. However, when she eventually beat, do I say won in this context? No way. She ended up using a happy memory, not a sad one or an angry one. It's the whole idea that love will always triumph over hate. But back to Max, and this key bit before Vecna actually puts her back under his trance, again gives us more clues. Because despite being in the Creel mansion, Vecna doesn't immediately strike. She has to taunt him, lower her guard.
I want you to make me disappear.
And I think it's because Vecna knew he couldn't strike at that point. This Max was stronger than the one he previously encountered. She had friends beside her. They had a plan. She was starting to heal, starting to feel like herself again. So Max had to recall some negative memories, the things that she blames herself for. And that is how she hoped Billy would just crash his car. She thought the reason she froze and didn't try to save him was because she wanted him gone. But as the audience, we know it wasn't that straightforward. There was nothing Max could have done in that situation. But in that moment, Vecna sees his time to strike. And he becomes Lucas, and it throws her. Because he managed to mimic Lucas and show back what her biggest fears were people like Lucas seeing her in that way. She loses her balance, but when she starts to realise that it is in fact Vecna, she fights like hell, going through her past memories until she gets to the snowball, her first kiss with Lucas. Vecna is not giving up the chase, but Max is not going without a fight. But while this is all happening, we need to take a moment to discuss what is happening with Lucas. Because this scene is easy to overlook, but it shows massive character growth for Lucas. You see, Lucas, who was keen to fit in, who was never as secure as who he was as like a character like Dustin is, he was always trying to find his place. Like the rest of the group, he was subject to bullying. But for Lucas, there was another layer. The bullies referred to him as Midnight, and not only is that awful, but his friends don't get it, and they're the closest people to him. That must be pretty isolating. Yet each time the bullies attack, he sucks it up and takes it. As he gets older and he joins the basketball team, his friends aren't exactly thrilled. But this isn't just about sports, it's about identity. Lucas wants to belong, but he's caught between two worlds, nerds versus jocks, D&D versus popularity, and he's afraid to admit that he likes both. It's one of the elements that makes Lucas so relatable, how we change when we grow up, and try and work out who we are and where we belong. So when Lucas is trying to help Max and Jason strolls in, the guy that Lucas originally admired, wanted to be friends with, the moment of realisation hits. Jason isn't the good guy, and in fact it's the perfect example of how in the absence of critical thinking, people resort to, well, magical thinking. This guy was so consumed with the fact that he didn't know half of what was going on with his girlfriend's life, he had to invent stories of satanic rituals. He couldn't let go of the idea that it was all Eddie's fault. But of course, what hero? It was all in an effort to protect the vulnerable people of Hawkins. I'm guessing this is why he thinks it's completely acceptable for his friends to tackle and restrain a little girl. But regardless, Lucas tries to reason with him. He tries to be the bigger person. And Jason pulls a gun. Seriously, I bet no one was sad about Jason's death. Anyway, Lucas wasn't giving up without a fight. They scrap, the Walkman is crushed, and Lucas is losing against Jason. Max starts to rise, Lucas sees it, and he gives it everything he has. Lucas was being bullied, made to feel small, cared too much about what people think, and just wanted to impress Jason, the captain, the popular kid. But now, Lucas is done. He decks him. Lucas doesn't just punch Jason, he punches through the illusion that popularity equals safety. He realises Jason isn't this cool kid god. He is just, well, a muppet. This is so significant for Lucas when all he wanted was to be in the in crowd. And imagine what this is going to do for Lucas in season 5. When he's free from worrying about where he fits in, he's completely sure of himself. But yeah, he is going to have to get over this moment where he has to helplessly watch as Max's bones break. Elle shows up and manages to get Max out of Vecna's grasp. But is it too late? Well, for a moment at least, Max is still conscious. This didn't happen with Fred or Chrissy. This could just be a case of timing from when Elle strikes Vecna just before he finishes her, or something else is happening. When Max said to Lucas she wasn't ready to go, she meant it. Elle resuscitates her and she is in a coma, but Elle can't find her anywhere. So where is Max? And how do we get her back? Let's remember some key details. Number 1. Max has said that Vecna didn't want her in the mindscape.
What are you doing in here, Max?
So Max had found a way to navigate this area. Number 2, we know Vecna doesn't just kill his victims, he absorbs them, their memories, their being. Number 3, Will's connection. Do you remember back all those seasons ago when Will was freaking out about the Mind Flayer and how he could still sense him? And Mike tried to give him some words of encouragement and told Will that if that is true, then he could also be a spy. It's showing us that that connection is two-way. Number 4, the power of memories. Max uses them to hide, and Elle has used them to fight. Max said that it was her mind and she should be able to control it. When Elle said she was revisiting her memories at Nina, Papa said there are good memories and bad memories, but only by accepting them do you become whole. Your mind can be a prison. I think Max might be in that prison. While Lucas was calling out for her and Max said she wasn't ready, I think she's either decided to go retreat in a memory and hide, or she's decided to fight like hell and go into Vecna's mindscape, which I think is the more likely option. But both ways mean she can be brought back, and I think the only person who can do this is Lucas, her anchor, the person who fights for her time and time again. At the end of season 4, and both in the trailer, we still see Lucas reading stories to her. There's still that picture, the promise of them going to the movies. He's still there, showing up, never giving up. But the key difference from the end of the season to the trailer is that there's a radio in the background. And that raises questions, because there was no radio where we left them. So what makes Lucas bring it back? Did Max show signs of the curse returning? Did she start to lift? If so, it's proof that the connection is still alive. Or possibly in addition, Vecna realises Max is still fighting him from within. He senses her in his mindscape, while she's there uncovering uncomfortable truths about
Vecna/Henry/1.
So to fight back, he sends Demogorgons to the hospital to finish what he started. And that might be how we get this Jurassic Park-like scene in the trailer. Either way, it falls to Lucas to protect her physical body while Max fights from within. And this time she'll confront the version of Vecna in the mind, the one built from guilt, fear and grief. Because if there's one thing we know about Max Mayfield, it's that she is a fighter. And when she fights, it won't be music that saves it. It will be that connection, the voice of the people that love her, the memories that remind her that there's still light, still laughter, still life waiting for her. The music was never just a sound, it was memory, it was tether. And if she is still there, then she's going to need that anchor to show her the way back. Lucas has always been the steady one, learning, adapting and showing up when it matters most. He can't follow Max into the mindscape, but he can keep her tethered to the real world. His voice, his belief in her, his love, that's her way back. Vecna feeds on pain and trauma, but the only thing stronger than that is connection. Healing isn't a straight line, it's messy, it's complicated, it relapses, it hurts, but it also continues. And that's what makes Lucas and Max so powerful. They're not perfect, they argue, they mess up, but they always come back to each other. Lucas won't save Max by dying for her. He'll save her by living for her, by being there, reading to her, refusing to give up. Because Max doesn't need sacrifice to come back, she needs a reason to. Maybe season 5 will show us Max fighting from within, while Lucas is fighting by her side, keeping her physical body safe. But what season 5 will show us is that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is keep running up that hill. So what do you guys think? Is Max trapped in her own mind? Could Lucas be the key to bringing her back? Or is season 5 going to take us somewhere completely new? Let me know your theories down below, and as always, I'll see you next time.